More now on the crisis in Egypt, which deepened today with the dashed hopes of a surging crowd in Cairo's Tahrir Square. The crowd grew today after a top general told the protesters that they would get what they want, which they took to mean President Mubarak's resignation. Their hope turned to anger this afternoon when Mubarak made it clear that he plans to stay in office until elections in September. Well, I discussed the political standoff with Akeel Hanano, the president of the Arab American community of Georgia. A day of so much hope in Tahrir Square, followed by so much disappointment in that crowd. How dangerous a moment is this in Egypt, in your estimation?
Well, I think this is part of the process of a new birth of a new nation. And it was a disappointment today. Everybody expected after the decree from the army that everything will be finished today. But I think the guy needs another nudge. And I think he's going to get it tomorrow. Expectation to have more than 15 million protesters all over Egypt tomorrow. And hopefully he will look through the window and know there is no foreign intervention in his country. It's his own people don't want him anymore.
Yeah, President Mubarak himself said the demands are just and legitimate, and yet he seems not to have heard them, because primary among the demands is that he leave now.
Well, see, that's the problem. When you stay in your position for 30 and plus years, you forget to look outside the window and listen to the people. And every time somebody asks you to leave, you claim that it's a foreign intervention, your people love you. The guy's just delusional, and I think it's a matter of time. The train left the station, and there is no going back.
It's interesting the role that social networking has had in all of this. And Mohammed al-Baradei, the Nobel laureate who's come back and tried to play some political role, tweeted this afternoon after the speech, "Egypt will explode. Army must save the country now." What do you think of that?
Well, I think ultimately the army will have the final decision on it, and I'm expecting something to come out of the army tomorrow after today's announcement. The masses of the people who is going to protesting tomorrow will kind of force the hand of the army. I'm expecting some bloodshed to happen tomorrow because I think people are frustrated, and then the government will use that as a pretext to justify the violence they're going to exert on their own people.
Well, bloodshed between whom? Between the people and the army?
No, not the army. I don't think the army, but if you look at the last 3 weeks of protesting, it was a very civilized one, with the exception when the supporter of the government intervened, coming in on camel and horses and start attacking people.
If the protesters get what they want in the short term and he leaves and there are elections shortly, what happens? What are we going to find there in Egypt in a couple of months?
I mean, I know for sure it's going to be a civil and peaceful process of transfer of power. The object is to get Mubarak out because nobody trusts him.
But what do you say to those who are concerned about a religious dictatorship in Egypt as a consequence of all this?
Well, I don't think it will happen. Number one, because 85 million people cannot be controlled by one idea or ideology.
It was fascinating to see the CIA director here in this country, Leon Panetta, saying today that U.S. intelligence suggested that Mubarak would step down tonight. It almost seems like we don't know what's going on.
Nobody knows what's going on, and especially the United States. That's the fault when you're depending on one person. When you are depending on a dictator, the only source of information you get is through that person.
Well, Israel is certainly worried about what's going on next door. How worried should it be?
Well, I don't think, this is the issue of Israel. Nobody is thinking about Israel. If you look about the last 3 weeks of protesting, you did not see a single Israeli flag burned. You didn't see a single American is being burned.
So what kind of party do you think will take power?
To be honest with you, I don't know. Nobody knows. That's what the process is going to develop. That's what people are going to select. And let me tell you something. People are very aware of what's going on, and definitely they will not allow a single group to take part of that country and dictate to the rest of the people how they live.
We are watching history in the making, certainly as a tinderbox at the moment. Akeel Hanano, we appreciate your perspective.
Thank you for having me.
Akeel Hanano says he takes the Muslim Brotherhood at its word that it does not want to lead the Egyptian government.